Somewhere between the front door of the grocery store and the checkout, you're spending about $40 more than you need to every trip. And when money gets tight, really tight, end of the month tight, most people panic and buy the exact wrong things. Frozen dinners, boxed meals, things with a picture of food on the outside and not much food on the inside. I've fed a family through some very thin months, more than one stretch of them. And I'll tell you what I learned the hard way. The difference between a scary month and a manageable one is about 10 foods. Cheap ones, boring ones, if I'm honest. But if they're in your pantry before trouble shows up, you can put real meals on the table for weeks on almost nothing. So today, I'm counting down the 10 foods I always keep in this house. And number one is the single cheapest protein in the entire store. Most people walk right past it. Let's go. Number 10, oats. Not the little flavored packets. The big canister of plain rolled oats, or better yet, the store brand bag. You're paying maybe $3 for something like 30 servings. Do that math on a box of name brand cereal and you'll never look at the cereal aisle the same way again. Oats are breakfast. Obviously, a pot of oatmeal with a spoon of brown sugar fed my kids more mornings than I can count. But they're more than breakfast. Ground up in a blender, they're flour for pancakes. Mixed into ground meat, they stretch a pound of hamburger into a pound and a half. That's an old meatloaf trick and nobody at your table will ever notice. They keep a year or more in a sealed container. There is no reason not to have them. Number 9, canned tomatoes. If I could only keep one canned thing in the house, this is it. A can of diced or crushed tomatoes runs around $1, and it is the backbone of half the cheap meals I know. Tomatoes, beans, and rice, that's a meal. Tomatoes over pasta with a little garlic, that's a meal. Tomatoes, whatever vegetables are going soft in the drawer, and a bit of leftover meat, that's soup, and it's good soup. Here's the thing about a can of tomatoes. It makes cheap food taste like somebody cooked it. That matters more than people think. When money's tight, the fastest way to feel poor is to eat food that tastes like punishment. $1 can of tomatoes fixes that. Buy them by the case when they go on sale. They're good for a couple of years sitting on the shelf. Number 8, peanut butter. I know. It doesn't feel like survival food. It feels like a kid's lunch. But look at what's actually in the jar: protein, fat, and calories, which are exactly the 3 things that get expensive when times are hard. A big jar costs a few dollars and holds a couple weeks of lunches all by itself. Get the plain kind, store brand, and skip anything with a cartoon on the label you're paying for the cartoon. It needs no refrigeration, it keeps most of a year unopened, and there is no child in America who will refuse it. When you're stretching a budget, a food that everyone will actually eat without complaint is worth its weight in gold. A cabinet full of cheap food nobody touches isn't savings. It's waste with a receipt. By the way, keeping a house fed and running on very little is pretty much all I know, and I finally wrote it down. Every method I use in one book on my website, the link's below the video. Go grab it if you want it. I won't bring it up again. Number 7, cabbage. The forgotten vegetable. Your grandmother knew it, and your grocery store wishes you didn't. A head of cabbage costs $1 or $2 and weighs 2-3 pounds. Compare that to a bag of salad mix. You're paying $4 for 3 ounces of leaves and a puff of air. Cabbage does everything. Raw with a little vinegar and oil, it's slaw. Fried in a pan with butter and onion, it's a side dish good enough that people ask for it. Thrown in soup, it stretches the pot. And here's the part that matters when money's tight. A whole head keeps in the fridge for weeks. Not days, weeks. Lettuce turns to slime in 5 days. Cabbage just sits there patiently waiting for you. When every dollar counts, a vegetable that doesn't rot before you get to it is the only vegetable worth buying. Number 6, potatoes. A 10-pound bag runs you a few dollars, and that is more actual food per dollar than nearly anything else in the building. Baked, mashed, fried, boiled, in soup, in hash, a potato is a blank page, and it fills people up, which is the whole job when times are lean. Hungry people are unhappy people. Potatoes fix hungry. 2 things people get wrong. First, don't keep them in the fridge. Cold turns the starch sweet and does them no favors. A dark, cool cabinet away from the stove is what you want, and they'll keep for weeks. Second, keep them away from your onions. The 2 of them together make each other go bad faster. I don't know a plainer way to say it than that they're bad roommates. Separate cabinets, and both last longer. And if a potato grows a sprout or two, you knock the sprouts off and cook it anyway. It's fine. Soft and wrinkled all over is when you let it go, not before. Number 5, eggs. Yes, the price bounces around. I've watched it do its little dance the last few years, same as you have. But even at the bad end, sit down and figure the cost per serving, and eggs still beat almost every other protein in the store. And there is nothing more flexible in the kitchen. Eggs for breakfast, sure. But when money's tight, eggs are supper. Scrambled eggs and toast, an egg fried and laid over a bowl of rice, egg and potato hash out of one pan. A dozen eggs is somewhere between 4 and 6 suppers hiding in one carton, and they last longer than the carton wants you to believe. That date stamped on it is a sell-by, not a drop-dead. Kept cold, eggs are usually good for weeks past it. If you're unsure, put the egg in a glass of water. It sinks and lays flat, it's fresh. It sinks and stands up on end. Use it soon. It floats, it goes in the trash. Old egg, more air inside, that's all a floater is. My mother did that test her whole life. It costs nothing, and it's never once steered me wrong. Now we're halfway. And I'll tell you that the back half of this list is where the real money is, because the last 4 items are the ones that turn all the others into actual meals. And number 1, like I said, is the cheapest protein in the store, and I'll tell you exactly what to do with it because I know that's the one people bring home and then stare at. Number 4, a whole chicken. Not boneless, skinless breasts. Those are the most expensive way to buy a chicken ever invented. You're paying somebody a premium to throw the best parts away. A whole bird costs less per pound than almost any cut-up piece in the case. And here's the rule I've cooked by for 30 years. 1 chicken, 3 meals, minimum. Meal 1, you roast it. Salt, pepper, hot oven, done supper for the family. Meal 2, you pick everything left off the bones. There's more there than you think. Most people quit picking too early. That meat goes into sandwiches, or over rice, or into a casserole. Meal 3, and this is the one people skip, the carcass goes in a pot with water, an onion, whatever sad carrot or celery is in the drawer, and it simmers a couple hours. That's broth. Real broth, better than the carton kind, and the carton kind costs $3 for what is mostly salted water. Add rice or noodles and the picked over scraps, and you've got chicken soup, meal 3, out of a bone pile most families throw in the garbage. 1 bird, 3 suppers. When 1 goes on sale, buy 2 and freeze 1. That's not extreme couponing, that's just Tuesday. Number 3, flour. A 5-pound bag of plain all-purpose flour costs a couple of dollars, and inside that bag is bread, biscuits, tortillas, pancakes, pizza dough, dumplings, gravy, and about 100 other things people now pay somebody else to make. You don't have to become a bread baker. Start with biscuits, flour, a little fat, a little milk, or even water, 10 minutes of your hands and 12 in the oven. Biscuits turn a pot of soup into a supper. Dumplings dropped into that chicken broth from number 4 turn broth into a meal. Flour and water and a hot, dry pan makes a tortilla, and a tortilla wrapped around beans and rice is a dinner my kids asked for on purpose, not because they had to. Flour is what my grandmother's generation called the difference between having food and having meals. Keep it in something sealed with a tight lid. A bag left open invites the little pantry bugs. And once they're in everything. A $5 container prevents a $20 throwout. Cheap insurance. Number 2, rice. White rice, the big bag from the bottom shelf. Not the boxes with the seasoning packet you're paying 5 times the price for rice with a spoonful of salt and powder in it. The plain big bag costs a few dollars and holds dozens and dozens of servings, and sealed up properly, white rice keeps for years, not months, years. It is about the most patient food you can own. Rice is the stretcher. That's its whole job in a tight month. A little bit of meat becomes a full supper when it sits on a bed of rice. A can of tomatoes and some beans becomes a pot that feeds 5. Yesterday's leftovers fried in a pan with rice and an egg becomes tonight's supper. And nobody calls it leftovers. One honest note, because I don't oversell. Brown rice is more nutritious, but the natural oils in it go rancid inside a year or so on the shelf. White rice keeps far longer. For a just-in-case pantry, white is the right answer, whatever anybody tells you. And number 1, dried beans. The 1 pound bag of dried beans, pinto, navy, black, take your pick, is the cheapest protein in the entire grocery store, and it is not close. A bag costs around $2 and cooks up into the equal of 5 or 6 of those cans on the shelf above it. Same bean. You're paying the cannery to add water and metal. Skip the middleman. I know why people don't buy them. They bring the bag home, red soak overnight, and the bag goes to the back of the cabinet to die. So here's how you actually do it, and it's easier than the bag makes it sound. Before bed, dump the beans in a big pot, cover them with plenty of water, walk away. That's the soaking. It's nothing. It's 10 seconds of work. In the morning, drain them, cover with fresh water, and simmer low a couple of hours with an onion, some salt near the end, and whatever cheap bit of pork is around if you have it, a piece of bacon, a ham end, or nothing at all. They're still good. What you get is a giant pot of food for about $2. Beans and rice together, and this is the old knowledge, this is why every grandmother on earth served them together, make a complete protein between them. Each one has what the other's missing. Beans and rice, cornbread or biscuits on the side, and you have fed a whole family well, hot and filling, for what the drive-thru charges for one person's fries. And the leftovers are better the second day. Beans forgive everything. They wait years in the bag, they cost nothing, and they never let you down. That's the 10. Oats, canned tomatoes, peanut butter, cabbage, potatoes, eggs, a whole chicken, flour, rice, beans. Add salt, a bottle of cooking oil, and an onion or two, and you can cook for weeks off that list. Now let me say the quiet part, because somebody should. Every food on this list lives on the bottom shelf or the back aisle. Plain bag, no commercial, no coupon. Have you ever seen an ad for dried beans? A bag of flour? You have not, and you never will, because there's no money in it. The money is in taking these exact 10 foods, cooking them for you badly, boxing them up, and selling them back to you at 10 times the price with a fancy name on the front. A frozen chicken and rice dinner is a whole chicken and a bag of rice that somebody else touched first, and you paid them handsomely for the touching. Nobody's scheming in a back room. It's just that a customer who can cook from a $2 bag is a customer they make very little off of, so nobody teaches it. That's all. Here's your first step, and it's small. Next grocery trip, add 1 bag of dried beans and 1 bag of rice to the cart. $5, maybe less. This weekend, cook the beans the way I told you. That's it. Once you've done it one time, you'll know it's easy, and the whole list stops looking like a project and starts looking like Tuesday. And tell me in the comments, what's the one cheap food your family leaned on when money was tight? The one your mother made, the one you still make? I read every one of them, and half of what I know I learned from people telling me exactly that. I'll see you in the next one.